Hello, Sunshines, and welcome to deValiante Plays Amelie by 2.5 Studios. This is a psychological sapphic mystery visual novel about a girl named Amelie. Forbidden from leaving the house, Amelie awaits the arrival of her longtime pen pal Sophia, to her dear friend Lalika's dismay. What secrets will Sophia unravel that were best kept buried? This was recorded over on my Twitch channel. Head on over there to join me every Tuesday and Thursday evenings and every Saturday morning. Warning. This video contains strong language and disturbing imagery. Discretion is advised. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Alright. Let's see how fast we can get through this.
The rain never seems to cease at this time of the year. It pours from the sky in its unending grief, as if longing for something unseen. Thunder roared in the distance, enough to make the young woman flinch, but not enough to make her waver. The woman sat beside a man with an imposing brow and a large beard. The man wheezed and coughed, but kept hold of the newspaper in his hands. The front page read the following: "The Great Plague of London, 7,000 deceased." The man frowned at the words.
How utterly preposterous! What on earth are the physicians doing?
The lady next to him coughed into her handkerchief. When she pulled away from her mouth, it was stained red with blood. I am sure they are trying their best, my dear.
Their best is going to kill everyone. Forget this rubbish. Amelie is still well, and finally of age to marry. We'll arrange for a suitor before she becomes sick.
If we send her out there, then she will certainly grow sick. She should stay here, locked in her room, until it is safe to leave.
No man will want a woman who has spent her only good years locked in her bedroom.
But she will be safe. The lady held her cheek, which quickly reddened after the impact. The lord glared at her behind his bushy eyebrows.
You would do well to remember who she belongs to. Who you belong to. You deserve to die.
The lady blinked, trying desperately to stop her eyes from welling up. Lalika, please come here. Her voice carried through the otherwise empty home. Time seemed to pause for a few moments before a woman with blonde hair cascading behind her entered the room. She wore a dress of a maidservant and a neutral expression that wavered just so after seeing the mark left by the lord's hand. She stepped forward, crossing the tiled floor with slow steps that seemed to match the pace of the thunder that roared outside. The lady nodded to the maid. The maid nodded back to the lady. The moon reflected from the metal object in the maid's hand as she swung it down into the lord's throat. He let out a gargled scream. Blood spluttered out from his mouth as he tried to speak, tried to yell, but it was too late. He fell forward onto the floor, and the tiles darkened into a crimson red. He squirmed and crawled, searching for something that no one would ever know, before he fell still only a few moments later. The lady stared at the scene. Her heart raced, and a laugh escaped her lips. Finally, you'll never hurt Amelie. I hope you rot in hell. The maid wiped the knife against a small white hand towel. The stains would never be fully removed. My lady, I will deal with the body. I will help you. Needs too much for you to carry alone. But my lady, you are sick, and I will get no better sitting here. The two grabbed him by an arm each and dragged him towards the stairwell, leaving a trail of blood in their wake. No other words passed from their lips as they executed their task. They reached the end of the hall and began the ascent to the first floor. The lord's head hit against each step with a soft thunk. Thunk, thunk, thunk. The house was silent in all other regards. Two doors sat next to each other. Both were shut tight. As the two women reached the top of the stairwell, the maid pushed open the door to the master bedroom and entered. The room was spacious and clean, with fresh bedding left by the maid just the same morning. On the wall above the bed, a newly painted family picture. The two struggled and finally lifted the man into the bed. His face was stuck in a terrified expression, and his clothes were ruined. "You will protect Amelie, right?" "I'll do anything you desire." "Then let us begin." Lightning struck somewhere in the distance, lighting up the otherwise darkened room and showing many things that should have been left unseen. The maid removed her shoes and crawled into the sheets beside the corpse, while the lady dipped her fingers into the Lord's wounds and drew a line of blood around the bed. She spoke softly to no one in particular, chanting words that should never be chanted. When she was done, she stepped over the threshold and approached the maid. "Never let anyone hurt her. Protect her, no matter what." "I will, my lady." "Thank you, Lalika. You'll never truly understand how much your actions mean to me." The lady leaned forward and left a soft kiss against the maid's lips. It was brief and gentle, and something the two had wished to share for longer than either would admit. As the lady pulled away, the maid drew her knife, still smudged with blood, and brought it to her veins. "Goodbye, Lalika." "Goodbye, my lady." Ew. The maid bled out slowly, painfully slowly. The lady gasped for air and clawed at her neck. Everything in the manor became still. Everything apart from a young lady named Amelie, who sat in her bed upright, feeling a deep dread in the pit of her stomach, and another young lady named Lalika, who stood over two corpses lying beside each other in bed. The young lady named Lalika stared at the maid in the bed. Her own face, her own blood seeping through the bed, and yet here she stood. She looked at herself in the mirror and saw a different person entirely. She was no longer the maid. She was Lalika. Her voice was softer, her hair longer. It worked. Then she turned back towards the bed. Lalika froze. Both of the bodies were gone, and in their places, two skeletons. How long has it been? She walked toward the door and found it locked. Digging through the tattered clothes of the long-dead maid, she retrieved the key and opened it. The door beside the master bedroom sat ajar, just enough for Lalika to peer in. Amelie sat on the end of her bed, staring at herself in a small handheld mirror while brushing her hair. She hummed a quiet tune, but froze as her eyes met Lalika's. "Who are you?" "I am Lalika." "Lalika, but..." "Your mother told me that you had a maid named Lalika. What a coincidence." "What are you doing here?" "How long has your mother been gone?" "My mother? I saw her..." She frowned and clutched her head as if she couldn't quite remember. "I saw her just this morning." "I see. Your parents have left to be cured of the plague. They have asked me to stay here with you until they can return." "Really? A cure truly exists?" "That's right. So until then, how about we be friends?" Amelie's face lit up, and their eternal friendship began. How many years had passed since that day? Neither could tell. Time seemed to stand still within the manor, out in a field in the middle of nowhere. And that's the way Lalika wished it to stay. "Lalika, a letter has arrived." "What?" Her blood ran cold as Amelie stared at the envelope in her hands. "When was the last time we had a letter? How exciting! Perhaps it's Mother writing that she will return soon." "Perhaps so." "Oh. Oh? It seems to be addressed to someone else entirely. Perhaps it was brought here by mistake." "Then we had best send it back. Give it to me and I will have it returned." A peek wouldn't hurt, don't you think? Lalika watched as the first crack formed in her fragile world. I will dispose of it immediately. Give it to me. But it was too late. The letter inside had already been let loose, and Amelie's eyes had already taken in the words left for someone else. Sophia. Lalika, I think I will write back. I will let her know that I received the letter by mistake. That isn't needed. Please. Just one letter. Thank you, Lalika. How many letters had arrived at their door since then? How many times had Amelie spoken excitedly about Sophia to her? Sophia. Sophia, Sophia, Sophia. It's always Sophia. Sophia is the crack in the fragile reality. Sophia. I have to get rid of Sophia. Lalika! Lalika's eyes opened with a jolt. I'm sorry, I'm a little tired. What did you say? Sophia says she's coming to visit. Another crack formed from the last. It sprawled across reality, threatening to shatter at any moment. Amelie, I don't think that's a good idea. The plague. She says that it's safe enough to travel now in her letter. Perhaps Mother and Father will return soon too. Lalika forced a smile. But we don't need anyone else here. We have each other. Of course, you are my dear friend Lalika, but Sophia and I have been writing to each other for... She shook her head as if chasing off the beginnings of a headache. For a long time, anyway. I am excited to finally meet her. Won't you be excited with me too? We can all be friends. Right. Friends. I'm sure we will all be the best of friends. For an amount of time that neither Lalika or Amelie could truly comprehend, the house was suddenly buzzing with life. Amelie's footsteps were light, and her days filled with excitement as she awaited the arrival of Sophia. And finally, to Lalika's dismay, the day came. The pendulum clock on the wall swung back and forth, ticking down the time. Lalika stared at it, wishing that it would slow down even further. 10 minutes, then 20, then an hour passed as the two stood by the door waiting for a knock. She seems to be late. Perhaps she's not coming after all, Amelie. There is no need to make such a sullen face. Mayhaps this is for the best. She wrote that she would be here, so I shall wait. With her face hidden from Amelie, Lalika scowled. Do you truly believe it's safe to have visitors during the outbreak? Lalika, I believe we have been isolated long enough, and Sophia has written that it is safe. I trust her word. She would not endanger us. And if your pen pal turns out to be a robber in disguise, what then? Amelie smiled to Lalika's dismay. She has a way with words that only a woman could have. A lady robber, then. Nonsense. By the way, Lalika, have you seen my letters? I can't say that I have. A knock sounded at the door, instantly halting their conversation. Amelie rose from her place and took a steady step forward before the Lalika raised a hand to her. Allow me to see if she should truly be allowed entry. The door groaned as it slowly swung open and revealed the young woman who knocked at the door. She was drenched from head to toe. Lalika stared at her, light hair and eyes. She looked almost like a kitten. Instantly, Lalika's dislike for the woman grew. Lalika stepped to the side just in time for Sophia to bounce through the door and wrap her arms around Amelie. Her blood boiled. She watched as the clothes she had, carefully handmade, became drenched by someone unworthy, someone that didn't deserve to even look at Amelie. Amelie! Sophia! Amelie's arms wrapped around Sophia in return, and Lalika turned away. My, you're completely drenched. Did you forget your umbrella, perchance? Or perhaps her umbrella got carried away by the wind. With a cool anger written over her features, Lalika shut the door. I didn't even think to bring an umbrella. The forecast said sunny all day. My fault for believing it, I guess.
I can't believe you're truly here.
Me either. About time, right? You're just as pretty as I knew you'd be.
And you too. But what are you wearing?
Seeing your house, I feel like I should have dressed up a little more.
No, perhaps it is I who is overdressed. Lalika stood to the side, her arms crossed lightly over her chest. Her long hair reached down nearly to the wooden floor. Pardon my manners. My dear friend Lalika is here too. I believe I wrote about her in the past.
I remember. I've kept all of your letters safe, don't worry.
As you should.
As you should.
Amelie side-eyed Lalika upon hearing her tone, but Lalika simply looked away.
Sorry, but is there any chance you have a towel? Of course, my apologies.
I would usually have someone here to attend to us, but everyone's been sent home. Only the three of us remain. Let me fetch you a towel. Amelie disappeared down the hallway, leaving Lalika alone with Sophia. This really is a manor. When she told me about her house, I almost didn't believe it.
Has no one told you it is rude to poke around someone else's house?
Sophia walked straight past Lalika without even a notion of responding.
Hello?
You can't see me. Sophia ran her finger along the edge of the tabletop before reaching to pick up a book that had rested on there. Don't let her touch it. Don't let her touch anything. She'll break it all. She'll undo everything. She wants to hurt Amelie. She can't find out the truth. The window shook loudly in the wind. With a flick of her small wrist, Lalika allowed the door to fly open, causing Sophia to whip around in surprise.
It's so windy.
Lalika locked in on the object that Sophia had been reaching for. She rushed forward and took hold of it, then quickly hid it behind a cabinet as Sophia reached and closed the door.
Oh.
Amelie? Sorry, I need water. It's a lot of reading. Sophia spun around but looked straight through Lalika. Sophia?
Oh, Amelie.
Please, use this.
Thanks, I'll bring an umbrella next time, I promise.
Lalika watched as Sophia dried herself with a towel. Our towel. It's not for her.
There can't be a next time.
Then if you're now dried off, would you care for a tour of the house before afternoon tea?
That sounds great.
On your right is the pantry, and down the hall is the boiler room, but you shouldn't have any need for those spaces. Oh, I'm starting out again. Sophia and Amelie walked side by side, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Lalika stared at the space where they almost connected, seething with a quiet rage. These are all the guest rooms I have prepared. I have prepared this one for your use. If you find anything not to your standards, you can let myself or Lalika know. Amelie, I have a feeling your standards are much higher than mine. I've never even been in a house that looks like this. No? Is your home not similar? Well, it's a lot smaller. There is no shame in that. You own your own property, yes? Yeah, I recently bought it. With your husband? What? No, of course not. I'm not married. Shut up. Your father allowed you to buy property on your own? Amelie, you speak just like how you write. I'm so surprised. Your voice disgusts me. And you speak quite casually. People usually say that about me. Being here around you makes me want to be more formal. What need is there of formality between friends? That's true, too. Your words are poisoning, Amelie. Ahem. This is the morning room, and next door is the dining room. We'll be having afternoon tea in the city room here. So many rooms. Upstairs is my bedroom and the master bedroom. I must ask that you don't enter the master bedroom, as it belongs to my parents, who are currently away. Of course, I won't go poking around anyway. Lies. You're lying!
All this walking has made me parched. Oh, shall we take afternoon tea now? Sure, that sounds good. Why don't you have a seat while Lalika and I prepare our food? Oh, I can help. Nonsense, you are my guest. It would be remiss of me to allow you to lift a finger. If you insist, but I'm happy to help any time. Thank you. I'll be back soon. Please rest. Amelie? Yes? It's nothing. Take your time. Sophia slipped through a doorway and disappeared. Amelie smiled widely while Lalika just stared ahead blankly. Isn't this lovely, Lalika? To have a new face in the house? It feels like forever. Yes, how lovely. I'm glad you are having fun at the very least. Are you not? Sever her fate. Oh, I'm always having fun when we're together, Amelie. Oh, I see. Are you jealous? Worry not, my dear friend. Of course our friendship means just as much to me. I value you greatly. Just as much. Indeed. Come along, Lalika. Let us prepare tea. I'm not going to click on these yet. I'm going to wait for the second go-round. Did you finish the baking yesterday? The pastries are ready for serving. Excellent. I'll just fetch the tea then. Allow me. A lady of your standing shouldn't be doing such a menial task, should she? Don't be absurd. Even Sophia herself seems to be fine in the kitchen. Did you hear how she jumped to help? I should follow in her footsteps. What would your parents think of that? I appreciate the sentiment, but they took with them all of the staff. I have little choice but to prepare my own tea. I see. Then shall I attend to our guest? I wouldn't want her to become lonely. Would you? I'll only be a few moments. Stop yawning. Of course, anything for you, Amelie. It will be a good chance for you to become friends too. I'm sure it will be. Lalika smiled at that moment, seemed to hide behind an intent much deeper than Amelie realized. The walls had eyes. Oh, literally. Eyes that tracked Lalika's every move. They followed her as she made careful, deliberate steps toward the sitting room. They stared, their eyes bulging, judging. They had no mouths in which to scream, but Lalika could still hear their words. We all sacrificed ourselves for you. Hope, our only hope. Amelie, protect Amelie. Prove your worth, prove your love. Amelie, Amelie, Amelie. Under her feet, shattered glass pierced through her shoes, cutting her feet. She could feel the blood ooze out, pooling. It was warm, comforting. She looked up to find where the glass had come from. Then she noticed the cracks once again. Along every wall, every floorboard, even through the air. The world was fragmented. It was already broken. Not beyond repair. It's not. My lady, I will fix this still. You can rest, please. Please rest. I will take care of everything. Anything and everything for you. She blinked. The world reverted to the way it should be. The glass that lined the floor was gone. The eyes that followed from the walls were gone. And the cracks that had begun to wrap themselves around Lalika's ankle had disappeared too. She stood in front of the sitting room's door, which sat slightly ajar. Inside, Lalika could see Sophia staring out of the large window. She backstayed Her back stayed turned as Lilika entered the room. Of course, it wouldn't have been possible for Sophia to turn and look at her, but Lilika still found herself taking careful, quiet steps. The window shook past the dark, thick curtains. You would attempt to defy your fate. Why don't we see how long this little game lasts? Why don't we test those whose love is stronger? I swear my love is unwavering. My infatuation, my yearning, my desire. You could never even wish to match it. Lilika pulled out a chair roughly, dragging the legs across the floor. Huh? You dare challenge me? You dare to test my love? Amelie? Was that you? Amelie? Sophia took careful steps toward the chair, resting her hand against it. Or Lilika? You're nothing. Sophia sat down in the chair that was offered to her, but Lilika circled around as if a cat after its prey. But her steps paused as she heard something strange. Footsteps from above. The master bedroom? In front of her very eyes, Lilika watched the scene unfold. The scene that made her blood run cold and her body freeze in place. My lady? The lady of the house stood beside Lilika. Where before two had stood eye to eye, now the lady stood taller than Lilika, by at least a head. My lady, what are you doing here? The lady removed her shoes and stepped onto the table. Did you come to punish me? Are you angry? I promise, I will remove the plague that has entered our home. I swear it, upon my undying love. The lady did not respond. Instead, she reached up and took hold of the noose. The rope wrapped around her neck, exactly where the necklace that the maid had gifted the lady should have rested. Join me. Her eyes locked onto Sophia's. Her hand was outstretched, waiting to be taken. Why won't you look at me, my lady? Are you truly so angry? Angry enough to despise me? But for a moment, as Sophia's outstretched hand came closer and closer, the lady's eyes turned slowly toward Lilika. They carried with it a message that only Lilika could decipher. Lilika's body shook. It trembled and trembled until she could bear it no more, and she ran from the room as fast as her legs could carry her. If the hallway still had eyes, they weren't fast enough to follow Lilika. The floorboards, as if made of quicksand, threatened to suck her up and bury her deep within the house. Her feet felt heavy and leaden. Every step was as painful as that brief glance. She raced through the hall and up a flight of stairs, past the stained glass window which left a myriad of colors over the carpeted steps, and past the doors that led to the master bedroom and Amelie's room. Closer, closer, until she arrived at a bookcase. She pushed it aside and entered the hidden room. The room behind the bookcase was small, and not a single window faced outwards, thus the room was near pitch black. Each wall was plastered with handwritten letters clearly for Lilika alone. Her eyes, frantic, finally started to calm as she took in the words. Her words. Words left to her, for her. Only for her. Lilika's eyes settled on a particular letter. Ooh. Look ahead. Dear Lilika, today was tough. I tried my hardest, but I still failed. Don't you think life is unfair sometimes? I wish trying hard enough was all it took to succeed. Sorry, I'm whinging, aren't I? I came out of my interview and it was raining. I thought just my luck, but something interesting happened. Oh. Today was tough. Oh. A rainbow in the distance peeked out from behind the gray clouds. It reminded me of you, and then I felt a little better. I hope we can meet soon. Yours, Marian. Dear Lalika, how wonderful to hear that you're doing so well. I've been very busy this week, but most of it is boring, so I won't bog you down with the details. I should be reading this and not this. But you do know what happened just yesterday? Of course you don't, you weren't there. I was walking home when I found an abandoned kitten. Someone left it in a box on the side of the road. How can anyone do that? Anyway, I took her home. I named her Lily, after you. It's a little embarrassing writing it out like that. I hope you don't mind. Yours, Marianne. Dear Lalika, I've spent the past week studying. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it, but everyone needs a break, you know? On my desk I have a little cactus in a pot, but to be honest, a cactus wasn't my first choice, but I've killed every other plant I've ever owned. Anyway, it bloomed. There was one beautiful flower coming out of it. I couldn't be happier. So that makes studying easier. I think your environment makes a big difference. How about you? Do you have any plants? I'm looking forward to hearing about it next time. Yours, Marian. She ripped the letter from the wall and clutched it to her chest, collapsing to her knees. She couldn't hate me. She couldn't. She adores me, like I adore her. She entrusted her everything to me. Everything. Her everything. Amelie. The letter dropped from her fingers that were neither cold nor warm. You want me to get rid of that disease, don't you? You won't accept me until I protect Amelie. Is that right, my lady? I'd do anything. Anything you asked. So if that's all I have to do, then I will do it. I'll keep Amelie safe. Lalika stood from the ground and dusted off her skirt. Her face that had previously contorted in distress had finally calmed, and a smile gently crept onto her face. I love you, my lady. And for you, I will love Amelie too. Creepy. I need water. Dang. Wait. I should light the sconces too. Where did I put those matches? Right here. Oh! You gave me a fright, Lalika. Where have you been? Preparing the guest room for your dear friend, of course. How kind. Sophia is just preparing for a bath at the present. I'm going to retrieve a towel for her from the linen closet. Oh, Amelie, I think it best if you send her home post-haste. Why would I do that? For all you know, she brings with her the plague. Sophia says it's safe to travel. It should be perfectly fine, don't you think? And what if she lies? She wouldn't do that. Sophia's a kind and good-natured person. She would not bring any danger to us. Did you know that Sophia attends a local university? And she lives by herself with no husband. She says if I wanted, I could also study. Study? Study? She wants to leave? Leave the house? No, she can't leave. She can't go anywhere. She belongs here. She was entrusted to me. The lady of the house should not study, Amelie. You must stay inside the house and await your parents. But I'm sure Mother would want the best for me. Perhaps while I await her, I could go inspect Sophia's school. Amelie! You must stay inside and await your parents' return. But don't you trust me? Have I ever tried to lead you astray?
No, Lalika. I was just thinking that perhaps it truly is beginning to be safe.
Look, I have brought today's newspaper. Do you see the title?
The plague runs rampant.
Put any notion of leaving or studying away from now. Yes? As soon as it is truly safe to do so, then we shall, and you will be reunited with your family. For now, it is just you and me.
Thanks, Lalika. I'm glad you're here.
As am I.
Ah, the towel. Let me go retrieve it.
Go ahead.
Alone, Lalika stared at the bathroom door, which was shut tight. Behind it, she could hear the water running. She could picture Sophia's body slowly shedding its layers of clothes before she stepped into the hot water. That image was enough to force her hand. The running water sloshed into the steel-lined wooden tub. I thought it was copper. Like, the first time we went through this, it was a copper tub. A state-of-the-art system. No one else in the country owned anything like it. But how many years was that? How long had that been? Sophia leaned over the sink, her bone-white knuckles grasping either side of it. Her back was turned to Lalika. If she wanted, she could stab her in the back and be over with it. No. I need to keep Amelie's trust. She needs to leave, or go somewhere she'll never be found. Or do it herself. Sophia lifted her face to the mirror, then froze. Her eyes bored into it as if she was seeing something she shouldn't. Lalika stared back, unmoving. Leave already.
Who?
One step at a time, maintaining eye contact with the mirror, Lalika crept closer, and closer, until the two were nearly touching.
Why do you want to take Amelie away? Can't you see that she loves me, not you? Your words are poisoning this household. If you don't leave, I will kill you. I'll have no choice. I'll just kill you.
Who are you? Sophia whipped around, but her eyes didn't focus on any spot in particular. To her, Lalika was gone. Lalika walked towards an open cabinet and pulled something out. The metal of the razor glinted. Lalika raised it up, and she moved to stand over the bath. With ease, the metal cut into her arm. Drops of blood fell into the water, leaving tiny splashes where they were connected. Blood still runs in my veins after all. Sophia rushed past Lalika, desperate to turn off the overflowing water before she froze once again. The water was deep, dark red. Her slender fingers dipped into the liquid as if she was entranced. Excuse me. One layer at a time, she stripped bare, her expression hollow and lifeless. Lalika watched as her naked body stepped into the crimson water. Why not just end it here? You're scared, aren't you? Just sink down. Accept your fate. Accept it. A knock came from the door. Lalika's widened eyes went from the door to the young woman in the bath and back again. Excuse me, I'm coming in. Lalika ducked behind the folding screen just in time to hear the door open. Sophia, I knocked, but I didn't hear a reply. I brought you a towel. Ah! She didn't wait any longer. As Amelie stepped into the room to set down the towel, Lalika quickly dashed out into the hall. Before Lalika had a chance to even catch her breath, the bathroom door opened once again, and Amelie stepped out with flushed cheeks.
Did you tell her she must depart?
No,
Is something the matter? Are you feeling unwell? Your face is bright red.
Sophia will stay until she decides to leave.
Oh, no. No, she must leave now. Tonight. No longer. As you wish. I'm sorry, Lalika, but I believe it is only fair after she traveled so far, and she is my friend. That woman, that siren, look what she does to our Amelie. I will finish preparing the guest room. Let me come help, Sophia. When you're done in there, you can come to your room. You can come... Oh, right, this keeps tripping me up. Let me come help. Sophia, when you're done in there, you can come to your room. From the other side of the door, Sophia's voice came in return. Okay, thanks, Amelie. The guest bedroom was freshly cleaned, with new linen on the bed and a lit lantern beside it. Fortunately, Lalika had prepared the room well in advance. You did a fine job for preparing the room so far. Thank you, Lalika. Anything for you. I was thinking tomorrow, if the rain has cleared up, we could open the greenhouse again and have more morning tea there. It's been so long since we last used it. By now, a dozen cracks stemmed from a dozen other cracks, filling the entirety of Lalika's world. At any moment, even a breeze would make everything collapse. Didn't we already speak of this? You cannot leave the house. But surely the greenhouse would be safe. No one else uses it, and it's only a few steps from the back door. It is unsafe. You know this. What's gotten into you? Is it because of your friend? I just thought it would be nice to at least sit in the sun. Then you may sit by the window in the dining hall. Is it really so unsafe that even taking a foot outdoors would be dangerous? Yes. Sophia, I see you're done with the bath. Lalika crossed her arms over her chest, anger already rising in her chest. Were you talking about the greenhouse? Yes, did you see it when you arrived? I did, but it looked like as if the plants inside had died. That's impossible. It's barely been any time at all since the gardeners left. I'm sure the plants inside are more sturdy than that. Well, even if they have died, maybe we could go in and replant some things tomorrow. How wonderful! Have you not heard a word I said? It is unsafe to do so. Oh, don't be such a spoil sport. I think it would be perfectly fine. Well, it's getting late now, so I'll leave you to retire. If you need anything, my room is just upstairs on the left. Good night, Sophia. Poison dropped from her voice as Lalika left the guest room behind. The house had a heart, and that heart was beating to the same rhythm as Lalika's. It was frenzied, on the verge of losing control. It echoed through her head, through the hall, through to every quarter of the building. Like Morse code, it was as if the house itself was telling her to do something. Get rid of her. Cut out the disease. Protect Amelie. She bit her thumb, pacing back and forth. Amelie will be upset, but Amelie doesn't need anyone else. She has me. She won't be upset for long, and she'll forget. That's right, she'll forget. Her breath hitched in her throat. But what do I do? What do I do? She just won't die! My lady, what am I supposed to do? At that moment, Lalika put her ear to Amelie's door, listening intently. How about coming away with me for a while? Away? Outside of the house? What about the sickness? Away? Outside of the house? It's okay now. You'll be okay. You could come stay at my house. I could show you around my school. You don't have to go through any arranged marriage if you don't want to. Lalika's hands balled into fists at her sides. You would do that for me? You are my dearest friend, and I actually... You think you can take her away from me? Lalika's balled fist slammed against the door. Each one set a pain shooting up her arm all the way to her shoulder. Inside, the voices went quiet. We're gonna do allow her fate this time. She doesn't belong to you. Lalika? Finally, Lalika snapped out of her daze. At some point, Amelie had left the guest's bedroom and was standing a short distance away from her, looking worried. Instantly, she took a deep breath and composed herself. But her heart was still beat as loud as a drum, and the cracks that seemed to be centered around Amelie were still spreading at an increasing rate. It is late. You should retire to your bedroom. Yes, I shall. It's nice having someone else around, isn't it? I feel as if the manor is coming back to life. I hope we see Mother and Father soon. I am sure we will. Shall I see you to your bed? Yes, please. The hallway was darkened, with only a few sconces and candles lit along the way, and Lalika relished in it. On a night like this, long ago in the past, she had sealed her fate, along with Amelie's, and tonight she would seal the fate of yet another person. The two rose up the grand staircase side by side. Moonlight drifted in through the stained glass window. This seemed to be the only place free from those cracks. If she squinted, she could almost see it, almost hear it. That head hitting each step with a loud thunk. Those eyes would never open again to look upon a woman with scorn. That hand would never be raised to leave a mark on pristine skin. The sound filled her with joy. The thought of repeating that fateful night left her footsteps light with excitement. Lalika, may I ask a question? Certainly. Have you ever heard of a woman loving another woman, as a woman would love a man? Where did you hear about such a thing? Nowhere in particular. It was just a thought that came to my mind. I think you are overtired because of all the excitement, Amelie. I think it is best you get some rest. Yes. All right. Good night, Lalika. Lalika, who was seated on the edge of Amelie's bed, stood with unsteady feet. Standing in the doorway, she looked back at Amelie. As her hand rested against the door, a sudden pang went through Lalika's cold heart. She is important to you, isn't she? Of course, her words have always been something that have brightened my day. Even if she were to leave? Leave? Well, I believe she'll leave eventually, Lalika. There's little choice, really. All I can do is hope she'll visit again. I see. Good night, Amelie. Sleep well. Whatever Amelie said in reply was lost in the darkness as Lalika stepped out of the bedroom. As she left the room, she noticed it. A dark shadow stalking through the night, slowly creeping through the hall. Lalika frowned. My lady, you must forgive me. I've rarely seen Amelie so happy. But she cannot stay. No. She must leave immediately, and I will make her. She stood on the grand staircase, outlined in the moon's glow. Sophia, you can't see me, can't hear me, but you can sense me, can you not? The shadow paused, her eyes going up to the staircase. There she saw a shadow warp strangely across the carpeted steps. You will leave this place immediately, and you will never come back. Lalika? The blonde girl pushed a vase from a step, and it crashed to the ground below, smashing into tiny pieces. Sophia jumped in response, a shiver running down her spine. I won't warn you again. Leave! Slowly and unsteadily, Sophia crept up the stairs until her face was almost close enough to touch Lalika's. Is that you, Lalika? In a small motion, Lalika dropped something from her sleeve. It clattered to the ground at Sophia's feet. She gripped at her shirt even more tightly. This is your last chance. I don't care whether you live or die. This is only a favor to Amelie. As if her nerves had finally got the best of her, Sophia turned on the spot and ran, back down the stairs and into the dark hall.
Lalika followed behind her, slamming doors and knocking things down to the ground. Sophia, too scared to even turn around, ran as fast as her legs could take her until she reached the front door. Instead of being locked and closed up tightly, it sat open, as if waiting for her to leave. She didn't waste even a single second more. And she was gone. She's gone. Gone. I did it! Amelie! I did it! You did what? Did you... This isn't what it looks like, Amelie. Please, listen to me. Did you force her to leave? No, I'm going after her. Lalika jumped in front of the door, arms spread wide. You can't. Why? It is unsafe to do so. You belong here, with me, together. I've had enough of this, and being unsafe. Lalika, either you move to the side, or any friendship I thought we had is gone. Lalika wavered. Her arms, which had held such conviction, began to droop. I have always done what's best for you, have I not? All of this time, have I not remained at your side? Please, trust me. I only did what I had to do. So this is what you've decided. Don't come near me again. Amelie turned her back to the blonde-haired woman, who dropped to her knees as she watched her leave. Amelie! Good night, Lalika. Darkness filled every inch of her brain. A voice screamed out from inside of her, mocking her. This isn't right. My lady, this isn't right. Didn't I do the right thing? I let her go. I did her a favor. But Amelie is upset. Her lady offered no answers. Is this punishment for not doing as you wished? Sophia should have died. She should have died. She should have died. Died. But now she is alive, and Amelie is angry. In that dark room all alone, Lalika clutched onto something. Something she kept hidden in a closet away from any prying eyes. She held it tighter. Its green dress fell apart at her touch. Can't you make this all better again? Can't we make her forget? Her forehead fell down and rested against the other person's shoulders. They remained silent, as they had been for many long years. I'm so sorry. I'll make it all better. We can make her forget, can't we? Can't we start again? Just like before? We can start again. Lalika stood, placing the skeleton of her lady carefully back in the closet. Keep waiting for me. I promise I'll make everything right again. Let's start again, Amelie. You and me forever. What? Lalika walked into the room, holding a tray carefully in her hands. On it sat a teapot and 2 cups. Amelie, I've brought the tea. Excellent, it smells delicious. Amelie smiled brightly, filling Lalika with happiness in return. Lalika, may I ask you something? Of course. I found this letter by the front door. Do you know where it came from? Amelie held out the envelope. The front was blank. How strange. Perhaps it was delivered here by accident. Lalika took it from her and opened it. At the bottom was signed, Truly yours always, Sophia. Yes, it seems to be from someone else. I'll mail it back, yes? Thank you, Lalika. I appreciate it. Finished with her tea, Amelie stood first and left the room. Lalika smiled. From under the table, she pulled out a stack of envelopes that seemed to match the one Amelie had given to her. And all at once, she threw them into the fireplace. Goodbye, Sophia. Wow. Thank you for joining me as I played Amelie by 2.5 Studios. The next episode will be out shortly. If you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, a follow, and ring that notification bell so you know when the new episode drops. Also, don't forget to check out the link to the completely free Discord server to chat about games and whatever else is on your mind. Let's keep the comments chill, so no hate or spoilers, as I'm not above removing those comments and the people who make them. That's all for now, folks, and I'll see you next time.